Welcome back to another episode of Shine Bright with Sabrina. Question: how can writing and yoga be a prescription for healing? Well, we're going to answer that question today. That's what our topic is about, how writing yourself back together again. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you today Dr. Sarah Jefferies. She is a TEDx speaker, an author, an editor, writing coach, and a yoga teacher. She is the CEO of her own writing business entitled Write.Now, and that's WRITE, Write.Now. And she believes that writing is medicine. Dr. Sarah, say hello to my listeners and tell them a little bit more about you.
Hello, listeners of Sabrina's Beautiful Shine podcast. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you. A little bit more about me. I am in Burbank, California, although I grew up on the East Coast. I believe that yoga is for everybody at every size, shape, age, race, religion. I believe that writing can actually help us heal ourselves. That is a medicine, a practice that we can do to bring ourselves closer to, for me, the divine inside. For you, it may be closer to yourself or your essence, or closer to that light that shines within. So thank you for having me.
Nice. I love that. So I do some writing, not always for other people to read. So what got you into believing that writing is actually a prescription for healing?
Wow, that's a great question. So, oh my gosh, I am blown away to sit here and talk to you on this podcast, and blown away to be in a house in Burbank, California, and so grateful that I did a TEDx and that I was able to get degrees. I'm first in my family to do that. But it's not always been that way. And there have been times in my life when I was really struggling with my value and really struggling with my essence. Times in my life when I thought, there's not much that I can offer. And there's one particular time when I had really been struggling with some of the trauma that I grew up with as a child. And I was, kind of ready to give it up, kind of ready in my 20s to call it done. I somehow thought that the end was something I could determine. And I remember standing on a bridge thinking, everyone wants to touch you, no one loves you. And I got an image, and I thought, just write that image. And I wrote down the image because I stepped off the bridge for a second. And then I thought, if I can write this poem, I could write the next hour. And if I could write the next hour, I could write the next day. And literally, day by day, I used the pencil and the notebook as my anchor to stay alive, as my anchor to find out what might my purpose be in this world. Do I have anything to offer? So that was in my early 20s. Since then, there have been both beautiful and crazy, horrendous moments where writing was again the place that I could practice what I wanted to say, a place that I could write a letter to the dead because I wasn't brave enough to tell them I loved them when they were alive. The place that I could write a letter to people who had crossed me and say, you crossed me? You trespassed me? I don't like you. But for me, I'm going to forgive you. And so I could write forgiveness before I could speak forgiveness. I didn't grow up with a lot of privacy or embodiment or light, but the page became a home where I could find all of those. And I noticed that the more I worked with clients and small groups, that if I offered writing prompts to other people, they felt like they could honor their wounds without worshiping them, that they could forgive people who had crossed them, and they felt a little bit stronger.
That's so good. That's so good. It was so much there to unpack, but or should I say, and I'm going to go to a writing to provide writing prompts that help people with forgiveness and help people with their healings. Can you give us one or two writing prompts? Just something as a tip?
Absolutely. So the first one is I had to think about and write some mantras, because some of us have anxiety when we come to the page. Some of us think the page has to be perfect, or the page will, the blankness of it like reverberates and is too bright, right? And so I feel like a writing prompt can at first be a sentence that we repeat, an affirmation, if you will, that we might try on. So the first one for me was, I now release turning anger and aggression against myself. I now release all feelings of hopelessness and despair. I now release them. Because for me, writing is a practice. That's why the business is called Write.Now, because I think we all should be writing in this moment now.
So
another
wait a minute.
Yes.
I need that first one over again, because some of my listeners are like me. We can't write that fast.
Okay.
We can write, but not that fast. So
No
tell
worries.
me what the first one is again, and then tell me the second one a little bit slower.
Of course. So for me, the writing prompts, the ones that help me start in the beginning, are affirmations and then questions, or affirmations and then sentence stems. I need a sentence to stand on in order to shine. And so that first one was, I now release turning my anger and aggressions against myself. Because I don't know about y'all, but I do that. I will pull the sword on myself.
Yes, we are. I say we are our biggest bullies.
Yes.
We bully ourselves worse than anybody out there can.
Yes.
So this release, you are out there beating yourself up. I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I will never be this. You might want to take this writing prompt down and start writing. I now release turning my anger and aggression against myself. Woo, that's a good one. So what's the second one that you said?
Another one was, I now release all feelings of hopelessness and despair.
Oh, wow.
And when I first started doing this writing prompt, I now release all feelings of hopelessness and despair, I didn't actually believe it. It's not like a sentence I had to be like, okay, I'm free, I now release. But I knew that if I wrote it 10 times, that maybe 3 of my fingers would start to believe it. And I knew enough research to know that repetition, right? That repetition is the beginning of possibility. So that if I wrote it 10 times, I might believe it for 5 minutes. I now release all feelings of hopelessness and despair for 5 minutes. And then I would move to writing prompts that were questions, because, they say the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the questions we ask.
True.
And so some of the questions might be how, because how is always better than what, right? How is it possible to create more joy?
Oh, that's a great one. Yes. Because once your brain starts thinking that question, how, then it starts to, well, let me figure out how to make this work. How can we make this come to fruition? So great question.
How can I love myself more? How can I not be afraid of my own light? That one kicks me every time.
Girl, you got the reaction. You got that. You pull that. And that,
right?
You pulled all of that out of me.
How can I not be afraid of my own light?
Whew. I'm gonna let that just sit and marinate for a second.
Mm-hmm.
How can I not be afraid of my own light? Oh my God. That is so good because there are so many people, and especially women, that are hiding who they are because they are afraid of once they shine bright as they are, other people will not be able to handle it.
Yep.
But sweetheart, look, let me tell you, if you're listening to us today, shine bright. Stop allowing other people to dim your light. Stop allowing other people to say what you are capable of doing, and stop allowing other people to be the ones to cause you to shrink and not live out your purpose. Woo! That's a good one.
That is a good one. That is a good one, right? Because I think we as women are taught to be afraid of our own light.
Yes.
Right? And so we automatically dim it down so that you will like me or receive me or love me, right?
Right.
And instead, we do have the opportunity to trust that light. For me, that's about like trusting the spirit. And trusting myself. You know, I trust that my future self will catch the one that is falling. Right?
That's good. I had this conversation. I held a workshop last week, and that was one of the things we talked about, the fact that as women, we tend to seek external validation versus internal validation. Well, we know the answer. We know the answer, but we are out here. Do you like me? Do you love me? Is this good? What do you think? It's time for us to stop doing and start trusting that internal, because for some reason you were given that, so that means you're supposed to be doing it, and it wasn't given to anybody else, so of course they're not going to understand it. Right. And sometimes people would discourage us, and it's not because they want to harm us. Sometimes it's from their own insecurities, and they're calling themselves keeping us safe. Now, that's not always the case, but sometimes that is the case. So, whew, that was good. That was good. That was good.
And also, I think the light that we dim or are nervous about, it will require us to live more boldly. It will require us, for me, to do more writing and more yoga. It will require me to be more embodied. And so sometimes, myself included, I'm like, okay, light, like, okay, like, right. I'm a little tired today. I think I'd like to Because when you say shine, I hear accept the creator inside of you. I hear stand in your power. Yeah.
Look, I'm being quiet. Go ahead.
Well, I also hear stand in your power even when your legs are shaking, right? Or your voice. So, shine is both an invitation and a command.
I love that. It is. And sometimes that command just puts us in take us out of our comfort zone. So instead of being obedient and following that command, we try to ignore it and act like I didn't hear that. Nope. Wasn't nobody talking to me. I didn't hear nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
So
It's
true.
funny. It's funny because you're talking all about me, because this was given to me, Shine was given to me about 4 years ago. And for me, Shine stands for you have to show up as your authentic selves, honor all your gifts, your talents, your experiences, no matter whether they were good, bad, or ugly. You
Ooh.
have to invest in yourself because you are worth the investment. Network with the right-minded people. That means people that's going to help you up level, and then embrace all of your brilliance. And boy, if you're going to show up, honor, invest, network, and embrace, you got to come out your comfort zone.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
And
wow.
be willing to do it again and again, not just like one time
That
and
part.
then hide, but shine and then shine again and then shine again and then show up again and then show up again. Not that we don't need to rest. We definitely need to rest. What you said spoke to me was the idea that we are called to accept all the parts of us. For me, that's a challenge. I'm happy to accept the girl who worked her tail off to get a PhD while she was in a really complicated, painful relationship that led to a divorce, the girl who got her MFA, the woman who got certified during the pandemic to teach yoga, the mama, the writer. There are other parts of me that I struggle with that I don't really want to accept, right? Or love, or, that are more uncomfortable, right? So I will authentically show you my gifts, and I'm learning to authentically shine even with my struggle.
Yes, yes. Shine even through the struggle. Whew. This has been a deep conversation. We didn't know we were going here. But it's needed. It's needed because people often think they're alone. They are the only person in the world that's going through something, when that is not a true statement. We are all going through something. It's just that some of us are vulnerable enough to allow you to see it, and then others of us are not there yet. We know I am perfect, and that's what we're going with. I am perfect. And let me tell y'all, ain't nobody perfect, okay? There is not a perfect person around here. Everybody's going through something. And I feel as if and I'm learning to share my authenticity and to be vulnerable. It's assisting other people in walking their journey of living their life.
Mm-hmm.
So that is crazy. We didn't even, okay. I just need to ask you, you said it, you became a certified yoga instructor, but you also said yoga along with writing is a prescription for healing?
Yeah.
Make it make sense for me.
Okay. So I first went to yoga when I was in graduate school. And I walked into the class. I had my head down. I didn't know what I was doing. I weighed at least 300 and some pounds. And I saw all these beautiful young students. And I thought, I don't belong here. I thought, I can't touch my toes. I thought, yoga's for skinny white girls, and I'm not a skinny girl. So what am I doing here? But I was struggling with some mental and physical health issues. And the doctor said, I think you could stretch more. I think you should try this gentle class. And so I walked in, head down, convinced that they were all making up stories about me. And, you know, we do that, right? We create narratives for the people around us. And then sometimes we mistakenly believe them.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just remembering they are human, making up their own narratives too, right? We are all each other's audience and characters. So I'm in the class and the teacher says, I invite you to exhale and move forward. And I was like, what? Right? And then she brought 2 blocks and put my hands on blocks and suddenly raised the floor to me and just touched my head, and I exhaled. And I got a little teary-eyed. And every time I wasn't quite sure what to do, she would offer a prop or say, try this, move your foot here. And I felt in my body, as a survivor, as a woman who struggles, I felt in my body and not afraid. And I felt in my body and strong. And it didn't require a relationship. Any other time I felt embodied, it required a man. And this time I felt strong for just a few minutes. And so that was the first yoga class I ever had. And I learned that if I could trust my breath, if I could exhale a few times a day, right? Consciously, just a, right? Like a deep exhale, that the day got a little bit better. And then in the class, we would meditate, just close our eyes for a few seconds. And I remember thinking the first time she said that, I don't close my eyes in a room full of strangers. Like, you're out of your mind. Like, I was like, nope. Right. So I kept like a really kind of like just look down, gaze kind of thing. Right. But then, I began to like sort of close my eyes and then open them, sort of close my eyes and then open them. And just try to like be on the breath. Right. And so then I kept going back to different classes and having sort of a love, frustrated affair with yoga, finding what I could do, finding what I couldn't do, finding different kinds. And then during the pandemic, I was in New York and everyone was like making bread and praying and writing. I was in upstate New York and I was like, well, I'm going to like study, right? I'm going to study because I'm by myself. I had my kids, but I was like, I'm going to study. So I did this online writing yoga training class. And it was for vinyasa and yin, which are very reflective, interior, slow practices. And I realized that the more I came to yoga, the more I could slow down. Rumi says, the quieter we are, the more we can hear. So yoga for me, and I believe for others, allows us a space to be quiet so that we can hear what to do with the light. Coming to California, I feel so grateful to be teaching in a yoga studio called Bloom Loft on Sunday mornings, if you're in California, those listeners. And I also teach a mat to pen writing workshop. But it is a place in which we can, again, use writing and movement, writing and meditation to heal some of those places of sorrow. We carry all our emotions and stories and narratives in this thing we call a body. And then we feel tense and tight and don't have necks, right? If we begin to stretch, and I don't mean like I'm going to put my foot up against my head, like that's some kind of yogis, but I am the yogi who lays on the floor with lots of props to stretch everything out. So if we begin to do that kind of yoga in our quiet, we release some of the emotions that we carried. And then when we write them out, we release them. So we can let go of a writing block, I believe, by doing a particular breath or yoga stretch. And in the yoga stretch, we may get an idea because we've created more space. You know, research says that creativity is a natural response to trauma. And that creativity can create more space in the brain, more possibilities. So that creativity for me might be a writing prompt. It might also be a yoga stretch with lots of blankets and blocks and breath. I hope that answers your question.
That answered my question and a lot more.
Okay.
It's like, ooh, she got me thinking. So you have me thinking, what piece of advice would you give your younger self about how she can shine bright and take care of herself and follow her dreams?
Oh, such a great question. My first instinct thought is run from any man who tells you to be quiet. Like that's my first thought, but I don't think that's what you meant. Because I had a lot of men tell me to be quiet as a kid.
Be quiet and don't say nothing. Stifle your voice.
Run from that. The second thing though I think of is find all the ways that you can honor your light. So if that means get more journals and write more, honor your light. If that means take a walk, honor your light. If that means write out what you feel about your body so that you can begin to believe it's a temple, then honor your light. The other thing I would tell her is to love herself more.
Yes.
And to like be you said how to take care of yourself, and I think like literally like to walk more, to stretch more, to even when you might feel bad, Sarah, or when you're convinced that no one loves you, or when you're convinced of a lie, do something physical. Because for me, I can become convinced of the lie. I did it 20, I did it 30, I can now, right? Become convinced of a lie, that my light is dimming, that I have little value. Like I can become convinced of that. But if I do something physical, like go take a walk, do a meditation, touch my toes, do a little bit of a stretch of an inhale, then for a few minutes, I don't believe the lie.
That's good. Did you hear that, little Sarah and little Sabrina and all the other little people that's out there listening to this? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
These are just some things because our younger self needed to hear this, and maybe you have somebody younger in your life that needs to hear it. So I encourage all of you to share this with the people that you know, because a lot of us wish we had heard some of this stuff when we were younger, and we did not. So you have given us so much information today, and I know people are going to want more information. Tell my followers, my listeners, how they can reach out to you.
You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Jefferis Write.Now. You can find me on TEDx. It's called Writing a Prescription for Healing. You can find me on Facebook at Dr. Sarah Jefferis. You can find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Sarah Jefferis. I am more than happy to talk with you if you are writing a book of poems, if you are writing a novel, if you're writing a memoir about some crazy wild thing that happened in your life. I'm also happy to come do a poetry or writing workshop for your community. I create the Mat to Pen project as a way of helping individual communities move from post-traumatic stress to post-traumatic growth. So I've worked with veterinarians who needed to tell patients that their animal was going to die. I have worked with sexual assault survivors who wanted to do hip openers and stand in their power. I've worked with corporate leaders who want to have powerful DEI conversations. And so we do writing prompts in order to keep our dignity intact. And we do breath exercises in order to release our biases and begin to work together. So the Mat to Pen writing workshop is really tailored to any community that needs it. And then also, if you would like a keynote or for me to be on your podcast, I'd be more than happy to come talk about poetry and writing and yoga. I really believe that when we don't know what to do, we can write out 100 options on the page. I really believe that the pencil or the pen may, in fact, help us decide what to do.
That is so true. Ooh, this this was a very good episode today.
Yes, thank you.
We had some great conversations. I know my listeners are probably like, ooh, I want to talk to her again. If you want her again, shoot me an email, drop me a chat so that I will know, and possibly I can get her to come back and talk to us again.
I would
You
love
can
that.
look, see, y'all, I need y'all to respond to me. Respond, okay? You can follow me on social media at Sabrina Shine Williams. I am Sabrina Shine Williams on all of my social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. I'm on TikTok. So you can follow me at Sabrina Shine Williams, and you can listen to the episodes on shinebrightwithsabrina.com. Just listen to the episode at shinebrightwithsabrina.com. Today we have had another episode. Thank you, Sarah, for coming
Thank
in with
you.
us. Thank you. And I thank you all for being here with another episode of Shine Bright with Sabrina. And my desire is that you've been inspired to do something to be able to shine your light brighter, whether you're going to do it through writing or if you're going to do it through yoga or both of them. This is your opportunity to get ahead, because I believe that we shine brighter together. So I want you guys to shine bright, because you are the one that can help this world show up better every day.